Oh, Lord. So none of you guys can hear me because my mic was muted. I apologize. Jennifer, can you go to the top of the chat and please delete the first person that posted in my chat for me and block them, please? And Lynn, thank you so much for sticking up for me. Hey, Madru, to you too. I hope you are someone that I used to know from Reddit. I'm hoping. Hi, John. How are you? CJK, Tech Death. Your music intro is always so calming for me. I love it. Hi, Nick. How are you? John, thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it so much. Hey, Truth Justice. How are you? Just trying to say hello to everybody real quick. Hey, Just Pam. I think I said, hey, Paris. Good to have you here. All my my supporters and my channel members, I so appreciate you. Hey, Perry, how are you? You can certainly hear some sweet music here. Hey, Mel, how are you? Everybody say hello to Cold Truth. Always nice to have her in the house with us. Please go check out her channel. She has a great channel as well. Hey, Michelle, you made it. So good to see you with us. Tonight's going to be a really good show, you guys. Hey, Rosewood. We've got a couple of really good people with us tonight. And you guys know them both, but they're going to be on a panel. Hi, Tamara. Hey, Mama Bear. Hey, girl. Just good to have you. I do have a quick thing I want to say before we get started to all my mods that are in the house. Please make sure that you're using the prompts for Nightbot all throughout the live stream. If you are not sure what those are, please make sure after the live stream tonight that you stop into Discord and check the mod page, because Jennifer has been so kind to create all of this for us, and it is truly helpful in running my live stream. It brings up things that my Reddit, it brings up my email, it brings up how to join my channel, it brings up all kinds of things. So please make sure that you guys are doing that for me. I appreciate it. And hi, Amy. Good to see you here. So yeah, without further ado, I am going to bring on Unsolved Crime. I'm going to bring her first. Everybody, please give her a warm behind the crime door welcome.
Hi,
and
everybody.
And I am also going to bring up Meowzadong, and everybody give her a warm welcome as well.
Hi.
Hey guys, how are you? So for those of you who are not familiar or have not been here before, Meowzadong has a wonderful subreddit on Flora and the Four Girls. She has been doing amazing work. And hey, Truth Justice, he's saying hello to all of us.
Hi, Truth. Good to see you.
One of these times, Truth, we're going to have you on here with us, because he also has a subreddit on Flora. And
yeah, he got me into it. So
yeah, he got Meow into it, and she has just done amazing, really, really a great job. And I can't say enough about her. We've been using a lot of her information on my channel, and I think Unsolved has used some on hers. And so be sure to check out Meowzadong's channel. Hold on, I think I have it pulled up here. And I'm going to drop her channel link into, hold on one second, into my chat for you guys. She does, and she's super nice too, but she really knows her stuff. So that's Meow's channel right here, guys. So just feel free to check her out if you haven't. And hey, Jess Pam, so nice to see you.
I just got her message. That's so nice, Pam. Thank
you guys are so nice. And so, what was I going to say? I want to get unsolves in here too. So just give me a moment, you guys, because she does amazing work, and she's been doing videos as long as I have. Her channel, she started when I did. We both started in February of this year. And I think she's doing just as equally as good work as I am. Oh. She's brought such a following into Flora for sure.
Thank you.
And so all the fires. I mean, it's incredible. All the fire stuff.
They do way more than I do, because I just have short videos. So,
oh, you cut yourself short because some of that research you've posted is just absolutely incredible. So
yeah, you'll see me more on Reddit, I guess. I'm kind of obnoxious there.
So, okay, guys, I went ahead and put Unsolved's YouTube channel in the chat. So please make sure that you go over there, subscribe, like, hit the bell so that every time you guys make something new, we all get notified.
And if you subscribe, I'm if I get monetized, I'm going to be sending all of it to the Flora girls, just sending all of it. So why not? I'm far away, but if you guys want to subscribe.
So that's interesting you say that, because I just recently got monetized through YouTube after my last video. I was like 60 hours away or something. But now they've chosen to not monetize like half of my videos. So
it's because of our genre.
Yeah.
The reason that's one of the reasons that happens is because a lot of advertisers don't want to have murder and things like that in their whatever it is that they're advertising. So that unfortunately happens. And so I found that the way to actually get around that or whatever is I'm really not big on monetizing my stuff for that reason anyway. But just doing the super chats, the super thanks, the super stickers that you have on your live streams when you guys start going live, which you will want to at some point. Trust me, when you start interacting with your audience, it's a big deal. These guys over here to the right that are in our chat tonight, they make this all worthwhile because they bring such great commentary to what we're talking about. And they also help us get our voices heard because they share what we're talking about and with others. So
we're so grateful for all of you.
Those are things that you guys can all do. Right. And the girls are so near and dear to my heart, all of them, all 6 of them. And I just can't say enough about why I decided to do a YouTube channel, because I had my subreddit first. And when I started that, I was scared to death. I didn't know how to do it. I'd never done anything like that before. And it grew really well. And I was really pleased with it. And then I started getting people saying, hey, you're so good at this. You need to do a YouTube channel. So here we are.
And I'm glad you did, because you're amazing. And like I was telling you earlier, you're one of the only few creators that I know of that does this for all of the right reasons, and not for the money, not for the notoriety, not for whatever. You truly care about these victims, which would otherwise not have a voice. So
thank you.
Really appreciate
that really means a lot to me. All I can say is that I really do love the people that I've met through this, is what I should say. In all of the sadness that's around what we do and what we cover, I have met some of the most incredible people. My mods that I have in here, all of them are super people, and they are they're here for the right reasons as well.
Yeah.
And I found some of my members feel the same. And so it's really, I don't know, it's uplifting, I guess, in such a sad commentary that we have most of the time on here. Things are so upsetting that we have to discuss. It's just nice to have a chat and a bunch of people that get together that respect one another and respect each other, that if you may have different views on something, you don't feel attacked, you don't get hate mail, you don't get a lot of the things that we get, so
Yes, absolutely. And we are the only ones that will fight for these victims because they no longer have a voice. They no longer have an ability to be heard.
That's why I got so mad that they took away the 20,000. Like, it's just they don't have anyone. You're stealing from kids. You're stealing from these poor.
I don't know how it's a good optic, and we're going to watch the video that was done at 5:00 here in just a minute. But one of the things that upset me was one of the things that the guy said was that there's probably no legal recourse. They had to do this because of the way the thing was written. But at the same time,
a bunch of BS.
it is to me, that is just a bunch of legalese and a bunch of crap speak, in my opinion, because anybody can change anything. And even if the fire department had to accept the check, all Troy has to do is turn around and say, we're going to give this to the Flora Fire reward that the ISP's holding, which is $5,000. We're just going to add to it. That's all they had to have said. And no, he said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the money. So let's go watch that real quick here. I'm going to share my screen. So bear with me while I get this all pulled up so that we can watch it.
Daisy, God bless you for that, by the way. Those poor girls.
Okay.
I know all the broadcasters now.
Where's the sound?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me try something. Give me a minute, guys.
Then in the 90s, we found the 70th of Morocco, this little subtle front comes through, got 100 in the forecast track. Fire department could soon be the benefit. You could see 100 in the forecast down the road. Thanks, Chad. The Flora Volunteer Fire Department could soon be the beneficiary of an Arson Award fund. Some members of the volunteer fundraising group want to see the money go elsewhere. Fire that was Flora home. And 4 girls, 7 months after their deaths, investigators ruled the cause of the fire.
Okay. We will stop that. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it does that. Because I don't know if it's my computer or what, but I have my computer set all the way up. Some stuff plays really, really loud. And I've been told it's how it's been recorded, what the level is that they recorded their video at when you're playing it back. But I have everything turned up. I've had everything turned up for that one. So, I mean, I know I've played other videos and you guys have heard them just fine. So I don't know what's going on with that. It's very I don't know if it's YouTube. I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with StreamYard, but I apologize. I did post it on the community page for my channel. So if you guys have not been able to listen to it, you can go ahead and listen to it there. Basically, all they said is what I just told you. Hey, Miss Thang, welcome. That they're giving the money. They gave the money last night at the 4-H fair in Flora. They presented the fire department with a check. And they basically said that after they interviewed Troy, who's the head of the fire department today, he said he didn't know what he was going to do with the money when it was brought up to him as to why it was taken from the girls. So they've already given him ideas. People have been flooding the airwaves thanks to some wonderful YouTube creators that went after this as we asked them to. Sunny Justice last night had Cop Facts and Gonzo on after I did. And she asked for people to call Fox 59 News. And there's just been a lot of people trying to reach out to the press to get voices on this. And it happened. We were able to get this one. I don't believe they'll be the last. I think that the more we make noise about Flora, the more eyes are going to be reached and be able to look at all of this. And I'm hopeful, guys. I really am hopeful. And I did reach out today to Rafael Sanchez, and it sounds like he's possibly interested in this. So I'm really excited about that.
Do you have like an update on this?
Yeah, he's supposed to get back in touch with me. So let's hope that happens as well, because I don't want him to just talk about the money. I want him to start looking at the fires. I want him to look at everything that's going on in the 6-county area. And
I love when media breaks something,
I do too. I do, because that's what I've been saying for a while. We need an investigative reporter on this. And I know that right now it's at the local level that I'm trying to do this. I really need to get this broke nationally somehow. We need to get at national somebody on this that would spotlight it, because I really believe that's important. Don't you guys?
Absolutely. I've actually tried to reach out to Brian Enton, Jennifer Coffendoffer, multiple retired FBI special agents. Nobody has gotten back in touch with me. I've done everything from emails to Facebook, and I've received no reply.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just maddening to me. And we keep saying the same things over and over again about when you compare it to Delphi and the Delphi case, there's just no comparison. And, there's optics. Optics are optics. And no matter what the reason is, it looks so unbalanced how the two cases are covered locally and even statewide. There is so much emphasis on the Delphi girls case, and there's no emphasis at all on Flora. And I just can't help but think it's because we have a marginalized mother in this case, and she's looked at differently, and she's looked down upon, and these 4 little girls have been forgotten. No matter what the family has done in the past, no matter what the family's economic status is, none of that should matter. Absolutely none of that should matter. Those 4 little girls deserve to grow up and have a life. And
frankly, I don't think it's that different from the Delphi girls. We're dealing with the same socioeconomic status and the same sort of like parent I mean, it's just like these things happen and everyone's still a family. I guess like I don't really always process it because I'm like a little but like I don't even understand sometimes like why, like, oh, like why are we thinking about them so differently? Just like having a double standard. I think like there's such a double standard for especially Gaylin, because I was so shocked to hear all of this. Like, these rumors were so crazy that you'd hear. Like they were insane. I've seen the craziest stuff on Reddit, but I'm also on Reddit, so
trust me, there's a lot of crazy people out there with lots of crazy ideas. And I think what's so awful is the trauma that this mother is experiencing still today, this very day that we're talking about. She is going through hell on earth every single day. And people who've never had that kind of a loss or the loss of a child has no idea. And they can sit there and talk bad about her and throw her under the bus and say all these nasty things. But I'm here to tell you, they have no clue the pain that woman's feeling. And she's feeling it fourfold, because it's like I was telling Unsolved earlier, she didn't just lose one child. She lost all 4 of her children at once in a very tragic event. The emotional scarring that happens with that is just crazy. And she was trying to be an awesome mom. I mean, she was working. She was, her girls were in athletics. Her girls were doing cheerleading camps, and they were doing cheerleading competitions, and they were in dance lessons. And all of those things are extracurricular that a lot of people can't even do with their kids. And I'm just sick and tired of people making this woman out to be some kind of a horrible person who would want to hurt her children.
Also, her grieving is totally normal. Like that's like exactly like you would want to distance yourself from the event. Just like how she's been grieving is is quintessentially like normal grief. And so I don't even it's not even doesn't make any sense, because I know that some women like kill their children, and like that is actually a phenomenon that happens. But it's usually I haven't seen any real case other than Diane Downs, but she's crazy. But like where they're like acutely psychotic, and someone who's acutely psychotic does not try, and it's very clear and the whole family will be aware of that. So it's just a different case in general when those things happen. And this is not the case at all. Like
Exactly.
it's not even close. Like,
she left. Everybody's like, well, she ran away. She ran out of state to get away because she's guilty. She left because she couldn't stand the pain of being here. Nobody was supporting her. Nobody wanted to support the family in any way, shape, or form. And she didn't.
Because when you look at the reward money for her case, it was initially $5,000. I think it was later raised to $9,000, and then you look at Delphi, and it's well over $300,000.
yeah.
I mean, where is the disparity here? How are people not seeing this?
Yeah. No, I know. And it's like, and then when you do bring up race or whatever, the narrative is, why do you always want to bring that up? Well, I'm sorry. You're living in a city that was founded upon being white. You're living in a area that is known for being a hotbed of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, these are known facts that people just don't want to listen to. They don't want to hear it. They just want to completely ignore that it's happening.
Yeah, because if you don't hear about it, it never happened. So why bring it up?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so for me, like, I've never grown up around a town. Like, I wouldn't believe that disparities like this kind of exist in modern America unless I saw it for myself.
And I think that's what's sad, Meow, is because it's all over America and people don't see it because they do. Some people live in that wonderful sheltered existence where you don't have to grow up around it and you don't know. I mean, I don't know how many people that I've met that said that they didn't have any idea that there was racism out there to the extent that it is, because they never grew up around it. It was not a thing or whatever. And so I do think it makes a difference. And so, she is, I just don't know how to, she's someone that I pray for every single night. I always have held her in my heart, as I do all the moms that we're talking about, even Carrie, who never gets talked about with Delphi. Carrie has been ostracized by the media, by everybody. They just don't include her. And I'm sorry, but she was Libby's mom. She gave birth to her. She loved her. She talked to her every single day. Libby loved her mother. It just makes me angry. And it just seems to me
I don't know why that happened. Do you know? Like, why?
I think they have a really complex family dynamic in that family. And what I mean by that is knowing that the girls were raised by their grandparents because of both parents having problems with drugs when the girls were very little.
Right.
I just think there's a lot of hurt there, probably, for a lot of reasons on both sides.
Right.
But what's sad to me, we don't need to know that. And we really don't need all that history. It's not for us to know.
Yeah, but like, why would we like kind of isolate her? That's just so sad.
And what I think is it's like, well, you're in Reddit. You listen to these people and how they talk about other people that they don't know, never met, but they have all these horrific opinions of them. And I think that she fell into that.
I hate that the media falls into it because the media just kind of adopts it.
Right.
Yeah. And I just, and like I said, I just feel bad when people talk about her. And after tonight, and I've talked about her, I will have comments. I will have all kinds of comments about how horrible Carrie is and how she believes this about what happened in the case, which doesn't align with everything else. She's been extremely critical of law enforcement. That's her right. She's a mom. She has every right to have her own feelings about her case. So
it's easy as a mother to feel like law enforcement may not ever be doing enough because it's your child and you spent 9 months rearing that child and then delivering it and then caring for it, and then all of a sudden you're without it as a mom. So then, you feel like nobody's trying to help you. And law enforcement obviously has a very different job to do and multiple caseloads that they're trying to handle simultaneously. But I get it. I definitely understand that frustration.
Right. And Tech Death's right. He just said they do it with Kelsey too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they talk about them like they know them, and they don't. They don't know any of these people. They've never met them. They don't have any idea who these people truly are. They don't understand the trauma that they've gone through and how that affects them emotionally. And I just wish people would be more forgiving and more compassionate when talking about the victims and the victims' families in these crimes. It would certainly go a long way to having people more open to listen to what we all have to say and talk about, instead of these closed minds that don't think there's a problem. Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've talked to my family and my friends about this case and about Flora especially, and they have all said the exact same thing. I just came back from my family reunion, and I have family members all over the world, and some in the UK, and we were talking about this case, and they all said the same thing to me. If those 4 little girls were white, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah. And actually, Brenda Jones brings up a great point. She says Carter mentions the Delphi case in his last speech, but no mention of the Delphi case.
Of Flora.
Right. Of Flora. And so I also, to piggyback off of what Brenda is saying here, I think it's very interesting that here we have Delphi representation through Dr. Phil, the family going on the show. And when Dr. Phil asks, is there anything else you would like for the public to know? There is no mention whatsoever of the Flora 4 or any of the other cases that we've discussed through these femicidal arson, potentially fires that we've outlined in prior videos that are just, accidental or.
And one of the things that Truth Justice brought up, such a good point, because this bugs me too. We all know that Gaylin is looked down upon because she has 4 children, all with different last names. So she had 4 children with 4 different men. So obviously that makes her a horrible woman, right? I mean, if that doesn't speak to where we are in our society, I don't know what does, because it's the truth. Who are we to judge her for any of that? It's not our place. We don't know the circumstance. Right. And even if it was the fact that she had relationships with 4 different people and ended up pregnant, okay, so what? She was still a good mom. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, but people want to judge. People want to sit in judgment of others, and it's just not our place. It's just not our place. So we were going to talk to
one of her girls has the last name of her current partner, so it's just like I wouldn't even fully go so far as to assume that they're still her children, whether they're adopted or whether they're maybe like a sister's kid. I think that it's still like equally valid, and it doesn't matter.
It should never matter. Yeah. We shouldn't even.
But there's so many complicated families out there, and there's so many different dynamics in a modern family these days. Just it's so narrow-minded that we think.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
I mean, it just. But these are the conversations. These are the conversations that people are having all over the country now about blended families and all the different kinds of moms and dads, and moms and dads and all the kinds of things that we can have. Grandparents raising their grandchildren. It happens more often than not anymore. It's just something that happens, and we have to stop being so judgmental. Just because my grandmother used to say, walk in my shoes, or if you walked in their shoes. Until you do, you shouldn't be judging them, because you don't know what you might do or what you might be pushed to do. So, and One Solved Mystery said another thing. People have lost their empathy and understanding. And I agree with that. I put out an empathy video when I first started my channel on Kelsey. I'm like, where's our empathy? Because what was happening to her on Reddit was horrific. I mean, people were just, horrible to her. And I couldn't believe it. I said, I have to speak out against this. And boy, did I get vilified for that. But boy, I was really quick to ban them from my channel as well. And I let everybody know right up front, you're not gonna bash her. She was a young teenage girl when her sister was brutally murdered. Give her a break. So
I can't believe the way she's been treated through all of this. To go through the pain that she has only to be vilified so hatefully for something that she had no control over, that she would never wish upon anyone, much less her own sister.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, I think that the majority of us, being more quote unquote normal, would say these things, but we're dealing with a psychopath who does not believe in our values and what we consider to be normal. And that's what's concerning. And until law enforcement or those within some power of authority can truly tap into the type of person they're really dealing with here, somebody who might be targeting specific groups such as, homosexuals, mixed marriage partners. There's a multitude of things that could technically be considered here when we look at the victims within the area of which these crimes are occurring.
Yeah, because we've all looked at and found that there's a correlation and a connection between all of these cases because of that, with family members who have either interracial situations, or they have the what am I trying to say? Help me. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Marriages.
Yeah, there you go. I was trying to be. Yeah. They have same-sex marriages. They have same-sex partners, and that's a known fact. These are facts that we're bringing out here. This is not something we're speculating on. We know this is true.
That's another thing that all of the girls have in common.
I didn't hear you.
The mothers had the girls when they were like 16, 17. So I had looked into whether for multiple of Delphi and Flora, I was looking into is it criminal at that point? Because sometimes doctors or a healthcare provider, if a girl comes in pregnant and 9 months ago she wasn't at the age of consent, sometimes you start a criminal, you would get DHS involved, but they don't have
you have to remember you have to remember where this is occurring.
Yeah, they don't have it
in rural America, and especially in certain states, they don't have those laws. So those things can it's just another thing that can happen that we don't have control over, because what am I trying to say? Jennifer, Michelle, can you kick that person out, please? I can't get it to work for me.
It's the wrong person. Your content, you're at the wrong chat.
It's what is the world? Get this person out of my chat.
They're confused.
Thank you so much. Ban them. I want them gone.
They
So
clearly
any-
haven't watched your channel if they're
Yeah.
thinking that
Like,
you're
I'll send you somewhere if you need.
there you go. Yeah. I'm like, really? What is this? Thank you guys. Thank you so much. But you know, I just feel like we're on to something there. Because there's got to be a reason that whoever's doing what they're doing, everybody said, let's look for motive. Let's try to find out what's going on here with motive. And I just think we have to look at everything and all the correlation. So with that being said, we do have some information to share with the audience tonight. Unsolved, why don't you hit it off and talk about the document?
Which document?
Well, let's talk about.
I didn't know we were. I was like, okay.
She's like, oh,
There's been a couple documents.
Let's talk about the whistleblower letter.
The what letter?
Oh, right. So there's a
letter?
whistleblower letter, which is something that is someone who's a local in Flora, and she sent in this letter. We haven't verified all of it.
Yes. So recently, I know some of you might have seen through Meow's channel, she actually posted a copy of a redacted letter that I know that Gaylin's lawyers have been in receipt of. So for whatever that's worth, now don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if that is 100% accurate, but that's speculation at this point that they are aware of it. Now, whoever wrote this letter, we don't know who it was. It would have had to have been someone with inside knowledge, whether it be somebody that had worked within the law enforcement realm or perhaps for the fire department. So there were several different things that were outlined within this letter in regards to how the fire transpired and the key players involved and what happened with the girls' bodies after the fact. Basically, I'm not going to get into detail and try to quote word for word what the letter states because I don't have it right in front of me at this point. But there's a lot of issues here, a lot of corruption that is evidenced by this letter. And we don't know the validity of the content, but this information, if it is truthfully existent, is huge in proving potential corruption and breach of protocol. So Meow, do you want to offer a little more information on?
So what, like, that was a great intro on it. I mean, I think my biggest takeaway was I was just going through it and I'm just pull out the details that kind of matched up with the court documents, the civil court documents.
Right.
And so I didn't Yoder what was seen going into the building, and he was found without his thing on, his
face mask.
Sorry, and I do know that the girls were taken out. They did attempt CPR on them. It was at 3:54 a.m. I believe that's correct. So it was they had attempted to take them out at that point. I guess they were trying to try EMS, but it was way too late. So that would have been in line with the coroner having not been there. But also Yoder did deviate from protocol, completely went off script, completely. So Dissinger had to go back in and take out this man who's collapsed on the ground. And then that's why at that point, they had vented the fire so much that it caused a flashover. So flashover is like an event that happens in with house fires where you allow too much oxygen to get into the structure, and it's like blowing
Yeah,
air.
because they busted out the bottom windows. I mean, what better way to not put oxygen in, right?
Oh yeah, I'm like, let's oxygenate a fire that's already out of control.
It's like,
you know?
just like blowing air underneath like the like fire in order for it to like go up. That, and the girls were on the second floor, so like that's exactly what happened. And at that point there was no hope in, they had to start water application and all that. And so that is all in line, and that did like it did detract from the efforts. I know that Dissinger, like they really often do this though in Flora. Like there are multiple cases in which someone has just like ran in, and it's, I could talk more about that, but I would say that like they are never really on protocol, and so they'll still be.
I want to bring this question up. I don't want to interrupt us really, but I want to bring it up because this question was asked last night in Sunny Justice's live that she did, and nobody addressed it, and I want this question addressed. So let's look at this question. Just learning about these fires, I have a question. Has anyone looked into the connection with the dentist whose wife and kids died in the fire, and his office is across the street from Flora, and an employee had a fire too?
So that's
I want you guys both to comment on that. So whoever wants to go.
Yeah, so the dentist was not the only one that was involved in this random spree of fires that ended up happening within a very short distance from where the Flora girls were burned.
It was in Flora, I think, right?
Yeah, it was. We had multiple homes within basically I'll have to look up on my stats, but it was very, very, very closely related to where the dental office was located.
Isn't it like within 2 blocks?
Yeah.
Isn't it like just
the
a
dental office
2-city block?
6 houses.
You can plot it. It's like, within this 6-house area. Yeah, exactly.
Literally. Take a right there.
And it's so crazy to think that it's directly across the street from Flora. There's other fires next door to Flora. There's fires across the way from Flora, from the girls. We're talking about the Flora house. And all these fires and a lot of the same players. We've got the same landlords. We have of some of them. We have, I mean, there's just so many. I wish that we had this big board like you see on TV where we can put all the faces of the players up, and we can get the red string out and we can start, you know what I mean, attaching them. Because seriously, you guys,
it's too much.
It's
I do give the landlord this though, like if he is like the one thing that he has for, like, I know I really harp on him, but I would say he's a terrible criminal and immediately needs to stop, because man, like they're all around you, like they're always.
It's very I just think that we need to look at some of the things that connect everything. The individuals that are always at the fires first, the individuals who are the same players in every single event. Then we have the police, or the with the Flora girls, they removed them from the house without the coroner being present, took them to the fire station and put them on the cement floor. And in doing so, Michelle, are you still in here, honey? Will you please talk about that? Say something for me so that I can put up in chat about what that can do to the crime scene of the girls' bodies when you remove them from the house, and instead of letting the coroner be there to do the whole pronouncing them and all of that at the scene, and having crime scene investigators on the scene taking all of their samples and stuff. They took the girls and stuck them over on a concrete floor in a firehouse. I'm thinking that that's not a good thing. And I think she's agreeing with me. She's like, what? No, she said, yep. So I asked that because Michelle is one of my mods, and she's a CSI in Florida. So she knows crime scenes and what's supposed to happen. So here she says it totally ruins any chance of getting real evidence. So my question goes, why did they do that? What was their reasoning that night about pulling the girls out and taking them and sticking them on the floor of the firehouse? It just doesn't make sense. And we go back to small town, little town. Do these volunteer firefighters not get the training that that they need to have to know how to properly behave and act in a fire situation?
It's so concerning. Like
it is very concerning, especially when you have all these unexplained fires, and
they're happening. I mean, from 2016 forward, there are an immense number of fire-related deaths spanning across the 6-county area that are happening constantly, continuously. And I'm not saying that they are all related. I mean, surely some of them are accidental, but
I also think it became trendy for like people to just like arson their home. Like, I'll get out of this one.
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe
people are getting away with it.
I can collect insurance.
Because what bothers me is that's happening, but all these children and these female children are dying.
People
and
not
it's
do
just
that.
And unsolved. She did it best in one of her last videos where she talks about 1,500%.
Yes.
I mean, come on. When you
1,500%.
when you talk about 1,500% higher than what was expected, insurance companies have people on staff that actually sit down and they use all the math to figure out what the odds are going to be of what happens when, like, and Unsolved, maybe you can talk to it better than I, since you did all the research on it, but talking about the number of fires expected over a 30-year period, they have people that sit down and map that,
right,
based on past history and past numbers, correct?
Yes. I mean, the major references that were used in compiling the statistics that were examined were through the CDC's Wonder database, the U.S. National Fire Administration, as well as Indiana's state mortality records. Now, one of the things that I really want to clarify that's interesting in looking at Indiana's state fire mortality records is that those records exist through 2017, okay? Now, when we go to look at the website, you see that the information on fire mortality is available for 18 and 19. However, it is not mirrored in the same way as in prior years. So they, being Indiana State, is neglecting to incorporate information on fire mortality statistics. Maybe it's because they had people like me or Meow or Kristen that were contacting them and saying, hey, you guys happen to see a weird link here? There's a lot of fire deaths. What are you doing about it? So maybe they just removed it from their data set. Well, interestingly enough, we don't have any data after that for 2020, I believe. I think it's 2020 forward. There's no data that exists at all.
Meow, didn't you tell me when we were talking yesterday that you had spoken to the state of Indiana fire marshal?
Yeah, I called him because I was trying to ask about setting a fund up, and I also talked to him about just like what's happening with the case. Like I was trying really hard to be sly about it, but he wasn't having it.
But didn't he acknowledge that there's a lot of
Yeah, he said
fires?
there's a ton of fires, and I was asking him like, what do you do about it? And he was just like, and I was like, is it a risk factor? Is it like, are people like cooking, or is it like space heaters? Like, what is it? Code enforcement? And he was just like, get a smoke alarm, and if it goes off, like you leave. Don't like stay and wait. Like maybe this is a false alarm, because I guess like, yeah, I mean, kind of me. But like at the same time, like that's crucial time when there's an actual fire, where it's actually going to make it almost impossible for you to leave if it goes past a crucial point. So that's what he was saying. And I was like, fires like that are pretty severe, but he was recognizing, yeah, we have a ton of fires. We know it's a problem.
So you have the state fire marshal admitting that they know that they have a lot of fires,
yeah,
and that
then
it's
he
a
sent me to
problem.
the ISP, and then the ISP sent me to another detective, and the other detectives sent me to the FBI joint terrorism task force. So I was just like sent everywhere, and no one would talk to me. So
That's really nice. Let's pass the buck off to the detectives, who pass the buck off to the FBI, who pass the buck off to the...
Well, I'm hoping the FBI is on it, because the ATF is on it, and that's a federal agency. And the ATF and the FBI, like they sometimes like fight over cases, but they kind of work together. And I remember early on, Delphi and Flora were actually in the same building, so they had the same federal investigation in the same building in Delphi. So that's where it was based.
And one of the things that CopFax said on Tuesday night was that the FBI in recent years have been extremely taxed with terrorism, a lot of things going on with the shootings, the mass shootings that we have all over the country, and they've been taxed basically. And so the U.S. Marshal Service has come in and started helping with some of this. So some of the stuff that the FBI used to do and was able to do pretty easily, it's been sent or taxed to the U.S. Marshal Service to take care of now, which makes sense because we know the U.S. Marshal Service is working the Delphi murders. We know that because Doug Carter told us so, that the U.S. Marshals are involved. So, and a lot of people were questioning that, because I think people used to think that the U.S. Marshals were just about taking suspects from one state to another. That's all they thought of them as, transporting criminals from one place to another. That was just merely one thing that they do. But there's a lot of bad things happening in this area in Indiana. And in Indiana in general, we've talked about it before on this channel. They rank 48th in the country in their solvability rate of murder. And that says a lot right there. They are almost rock bottom. There's a problem. They have a problem. And I don't know if the governor doesn't want to address it. It should be right on his plate. And I think the constituency in that state needs to be talking to their representatives and going to the governor and saying, this isn't okay with us. This isn't what we want, because it's not going to change if they don't.
Well, I think that there's multiple layers to this situation. We have
to get rid of a lot of cops
and federal funding across the board for law enforcement agencies. We're taking their funding away, but yet the people are crying for help and these type of situations. And then we have the case where the state and local agencies usually have to invite the assistance of the FBI to aid in their case. They can't just come in and take over a case, unfortunately. And Typically the FBI gets involved when they're invited or if there's some sort of bank robbery. But until that happens, and if you have these small town jurisdictional rifts or whatever, disagreements between how maybe the FBI could help them and how that may look to the state and local.
It will be ATF. Like for arsons, it's always going to be ATF. But like the Monticello case, that's also like the ATF is involved in that one. And then the ATF is also involved in Flora. And then you can see certain cases where ATF pops up. And I always just like grab onto that.
And see that the Monticello case, I was talking to Unsolved about yesterday or today, I don't remember. My days have all run together this week. I've had so little sleep and I've been working so much on this stuff and making phone calls and stuff. And I was really, I was just really, everything's kind of run together. So I apologize, but we had a conversation about Monticello and the fact that, Joshua Ayers in his deposition that we have,
it's about 152 pages, by the way.
Yeah, it's 152. Yeah, it's 152 page deposition that he gave in the
he's such a red flag.
Yeah, in the Gaylin Rose lawsuit and against him and his company. And the person who was doing the polygraphs for Flora and the person who was interviewing witnesses and suspects alike, working the case, both cases actually, Delphi and Flora, but she was heavily doing Flora from what I understand, is the Monticello case. And we're, Sergeant Thompson, Stephanie Thompson, and her daughter who died in the fire in February of 2022. And that fire has still not, it's an undetermined source, highly suspicious of arson. Her husband is a judge. He was out of town at a conference, I believe. Their other daughter is a student at Purdue. So she wasn't home because she was at school, away at school. And her and her daughter perished in this fire. And one of the witnesses claims that they saw somebody around the house before the fire department arrived outside. So, I mean, if all of that's true, because none of it has been proven, none of it, it's all out there. We don't have law enforcement speaking on any of this, except to tell us that, yeah, there is a fire and we have two deceased individuals, a mother and a daughter.
That was also right after the News Nation documentary when that happened. Someone else mentioned that to me and I was like, that's really crazy, but okay. I didn't even know how to process it.
I mean,
you can go down so many rabbit holes with
there
that.
Are so many rabbit holes that you could go out. What are they trying to pull up? Hold on a second. Who's on the board? Somebody said they were on. Stephanie Thompson is part of the board. Which board, Madru? Which board are we talking about? I would like to know what board she's on. But I'm or was on, I should say.
Yeah.
God rest her soul.
And so she was potentially conducting the polygraph for Joshua Ayers,
yes,
which is mentioned throughout the duration of this 154-page deposition that we're referencing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she just ends up dead by a fire.
By a fire.
Yeah.
She's investigating four female children's deaths that occurred in an arson fire. And she ends up dying in a fire that's undetermined at this point, that's pointing to possibly being arson, that her and her daughter both die in.
The ATF's involved. They were like,
And I was just going to say, I think the ATF probably got involved right away because of her husband being a judge. They're looking at it as for sure. If
And
it
because
was,
she was a trooper.
and because she's a state trooper, they are definitely looking at this as being set and that somebody wanted them gone, obviously.
yeah, like that's a threat. Like you don't like if you were trying to tell me that's not a threat, like that's
I just
exactly
think, yeah,
what it
if you
is.
just say, oh, that was just one of those things that happened, you know.
It's not that common. It really
it's just
isn't.
not. House fires and people dying in house fires, well, at least around where I live, is not common.
People don't even smoke anymore. Like those were like one of the biggest risk factors. We have safer homes, like everything that like we have safer stoves and things like that. We don't have as like our radiators are like safer. Everything has been made to like lower the risk factors.
And
it shouldn't go up.
Now, like Unsolved was talking about earlier, excuse me, talking about landlords and having to have smoke detectors and
yeah.
Hold on a minute, guys. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, he's like Aris or Air. Sorry, but he's just making the most ridiculous claim with this whole like, I don't have to put the smoke detectors in, or like I know that it was working. They're like they have literal like camera footage from I think it's like Yoder or Dessinger's car, and they're like, there is no alarm going off, and he's just like, there was. Which also he puts his foot like fully into his mouth when he says that like he was at the scene of the crime when like the fire department shows up. Sorry, I was blown away with that. I was really blown away. And I was like, you have to be so like I don't think that was a known fact. It seemed like it was news to the lawyer who was doing this testimony. And he's saying this under oath. It just it looks so bad. It looks so bad.
I'm trying to look now for this document because there were parts of it that I felt like maybe the majority of it was not really important, but then there were parts that were maybe more important that really stood out to me as being
all about the stupid code.
Yeah, and so I don't know, are you able to share this with our viewers, Kristen?
Yeah, you can share too. Do you see a share on your screen?
Well, I was looking on my phone, so if you guys noticed, I was looking.
Oh, that might be probably why. You might not be able to do it from your phone. What are we pulling up? What is it that you want me to pull up?
The deposition that we're referencing, because some of
give me 1 second.
I've looked at that yet.
Can we talk about the cows?
Oh, please, let's talk about the cows. It'll at least give the audience a chance to smile and laugh a little bit.
No, he's such a weirdo. He's like, I'm gonna find it. When he's his only hobby, like it's a very simple question to ask, and also Troy was like, that's not my hobby, because he was like obviously embarrassed, but like Josh was like, I don't know, like my hobbies are like playing with my cows. And like, but
he says that he bought cows. They asked him if he owned a farm, and he said, well, not really a farm, but we own land and we have some cows. And they want to know about how many. And he says, well, we have a few, like 5 or 6. And then he goes, but we always end up with more because they have babies or whatever. And he said he and Troy take care of the babies. And for people who don't know, Troy Helderman was the professor or teacher of the class? Of the HVAC class that he took. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how they met, I guess. And so then Troy was in his class. That's where he got his HVAC experience from. So this person who's obviously older than him, who's a what do you want to say? A teacher? I don't know, a professor or whatever. And
instructor.
Instructor. Thank you. Instructor goes out to their farm with these cows that they have and they play with them. And he actually says this in a formal deposition given to him on the Gaylin Rose lawsuit. And when I read it, I was like, who goes to a deposition and says they play with their cows? I mean, I'm sorry. I'm a country girl at heart, and I know that cows are playful, but I've never known anyone to play with them. I'm
You're
just saying.
like looking into like the abyss when you look at a cow's eyes. Like, no thoughts.
Guess he loves his cows.
We've got nine cows, which a cow is an animal that's already had a baby. And if you don't know that,
I am still searching for this document. Like, I wish I would have had it pulled up.
They're basically calves. We have 9 heifers and a bull, and we have a new bull and we're raising him. He's just... I'm sorry. I can't even get through
Okay, I have the document. What page did you want me to share?
Oh, well, the page on the cows, I'm looking that up now.
Oh my God.
That's on page 8, but like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I believe the section that I was wanting to reference was...
He's got 9 heifers and a bull.
130. I need to go back in and look at this.
Oh my gosh, it's so... I don't mean to laugh because it's... But you can't help but not with that.
There's a lot going on there with that guy. So
did you see what Sally says? Yeah, they were playing with their teats.
Oh my God.
Sally,
that's too funny.
That's great.
Okay, Sally.
Oh, that's good, Sally.
Truth Justice says he thinks it was a euphemism for taking care of them, especially for age, because you have to walk them all the time. Okay, that was playing with them. All right.
I feel like it makes me uncomfortable still.
I thought
whole culture.
I just thought that was really wild that somebody would bring that up, and he talked about his chickens, and I don't know. But anyway, what page are we wanting to go to there?
Hobbies. That's, I think, what we can take.
Yeah. I think maybe we want to start with page 133, and the end of 132, where he's talking about his next door neighbor being in relation to him. So the questioner states, "Who is Elizabeth? She lived in the house next door." His response, "What's her last name?" "Her last name is Ayers." "Any relation?" "She was married to my cousin." "Okay, was Randall there?" And he says, "Yeah, he was there when I got there." He asks, "Did you talk to him that night?" Again, there is a couple. I think there's 2 or 3 Randalls. They got their names on the back of their suits. I wasn't really sure. It was dark and they had those masks on, and you talk to one firefighter and, they all look alike. I can't say exactly what firefighter I talked to. And so the questioner says, "Okay, did you see, in addition to firefighters, did you see police officers?" He says, "Yes, ma'am." And she says, "Okay, and did you see sheriff's deputies?" "Yes, there was. It was a sheriff. There was some sheriff's deputies there too. It depends on what you're talking about. The first or the end, it was all day, they were there all hours." So, and then the questioner, "Sure, right. How did you know to go there?" And he responds, "Elizabeth."
"Hey, Captain, good to see you. Keep going, unsolved."
Yeah. So the questioner, "What were you doing at the time?" "I was asleep, so the phone woke you up." "Yes, ma'am. And what did you learn talking to Elizabeth, his cousin, when she called?" "That something was on fire. I needed to get down there." "Okay, did she give you the address?" No, she said the house. And then, they're right next to each other. At the time, I didn't know which house. I just threw on my clothes and ran out the door. How long did it take you to get there? I only live about a block and a half away, so it didn't take long. I think maybe 3 blocks. I don't know. Did you walk? No, I drove the car. Okay, where did you park? I parked in front of the insurance agency, right there next door. And when you parked, what did you do next? Jumped out and ran over to the house to see what's going on. Did you enter the house? No, ma'am, no. Where did you stop? The sidewalk. Then he goes on and really talking about the sidewalk, which isn't really relevant. So then he says, when asked, well, who did you go to? Well, Troy showed up about the same time, so we kind of met because I called him before I went down as I was going out the door.
He's going back. Like, I don't know about how to read interrogations, but I feel like that's a deviation where it's abnormal, because that's so weird.
Yeah, he just kind of shows out.
Yeah, I don't know, and you don't even know where you're going, so it just doesn't make any sense. And also, there's no way that if he was called at 3:28, that he would get there so quickly, from bed. He gets out of bed, gets in his car, drives down, and he's there, in enough time to see them running into the home, and see the windows smashing. So that's significant. He's kind of indicating that he's got there very quick.
Right.
Almost unrealistic.
So then I'm on page 135, and this is where he's saying that Troy showed up about the same time. So we just kind of met because I called him before I went down as I was going out the door. And then a little bit further on down on line 24, the questioner states, right before we went off, we just started talking about the fire that night. This is says on line 23 by Miss Alvarez. Question, right before we went off, we had just started talking about the fire that night on November 21st, 2016. I want to start out by asking you, Mr. Ayers, what information has come to you on how that fire started? And he says, just what I read in the papers and the official. Okay, yeah, so based on all the information, how do you believe the fire started? And he says, all I knew is that the report said it was incendiary. I don't, other than that, so what does that mean to you? Someone started it somehow. And when asked if he had a theory, he says, no, I don't have any idea. There's just so much to this.
They definitely are this is my interpretation of that, but I felt like they were asking him, did you believe that the mom started it? And because I've always heard that he was the one who started that rumor, hardcore, because he knew her the most, I guess, in the sense that he had the most interactions with her one-on-one, especially when she got there. And would have more of an intimate idea of what her lifestyle was like. And you can tell the lawyer is asking, did you ever talk about this fire and your theories about it? And then goes on to say, did you think that the mother did this? Do you think that the kids did this? And he's just I've never talked about the fire ever, to anyone. And so that's what he goes on to say. But first of all, okay. But second of all, I've always heard that he was the one who spread it. I don't know, how credible that, but where did they come out of? Because they were always the same thing. They were just talking about her as some morally depraved, deserving, terrible woman. And it was the most bizarre thing that I've ever heard of, because it was so I don't know. It was very.
What's weird about it all too is, Meow, is that, Josh did know her. He was charging her rent, but he was making her or allowing her to pay rent twice a week. She was able to, he was showing up at the house, I'm assuming, to pick up the rent. So he saw her. He also knew about the condition of the house if he was in that house that often. That was another thing that came to my mind when I realized that he was going there that often. Because one of the next questions in this is the lawyer starts asking him about the stove, because if we all remember, there was this big thing about the stove. And she asks him, okay, because am I not talking about any information you got from your lawyers? Although I know you saw we had a theory that maybe it was the stove, which we were able to rule out. And he goes, stove? Is that what you said? The stove? Yes. I don't think I even knew that. Okay. Okay.
Plays dumb.
So he never thought, or he never heard that the insurance company was wondering if it was the stove. My feeling is, what if it was the refrigerator? And he's got this HVAC.
Yeah, and another thing too, before I forget this, I don't mean to interrupt you, Kristen. I was just going to say that in the whistleblower letter, which we can refer to next, I guess, there was speculation that, he was reselling faulty equipment that was taken from properties, returned to him, and basically he's giving it to his rental properties. He even gave a refrigerator to the Flora Fire department, and that refrigerator crapped out. And when the fire department complained about it, he had nothing to say. He wouldn't even work with them.
He didn't replace it. They had to replace their own refrigerator that he gave to them that was faulty, that wasn't working. So, I mean, this there's just we've said, there's so many layers to this. There's so many red flags. There's just too many coincidences for this all to not mean something.
Right. They asked him about his this fire in his storage warehouse, pointedly. And so it's the same insurance that he had on that when that one burned down. He just pretends to have absolutely no knowledge of what a smoke detector does.
Exactly. He's in this deposition. I think it's on, I can't remember. I can't see what page it is right now.
Do you think they?
But it says, my question is, do you have any theory that Gaylin Rose is responsible for the fire? No, I do not. Okay, does anything that Gaylin Rose did, in your opinion, did that make her responsible for the fire starting? And then there was an objection by an attorney, calls for speculation. So when you did this objection, I lose my complete train of thought. So the question is there anything, say it again, I have to have the question again. And so Josh says, or the questioner says, well, I just want to be real clear with you with why you think the fire started. If you think that anything that Gaylin did caused the fire. And he says, I don't think anything Gaylin did had anything to do with the fire. Okay, all right, okay. And just, I guess, put on the belt with the suspenders. Her children, do you believe that her children had any responsibility for the fire? I would have no idea about that. Okay, I don't have a clue. I don't. Okay, that's fair. 1 second. Okay, yeah, that's real easy. All right. After the fire, did you receive any compensation from the insurance? Yeah, our policy. So he was adamant that Gaylin didn't have anything to do with it at all. I don't think Gaylin had anything to do with the fire, he says. But when they ask about the children, I don't have a clue. I don't know. I mean, that just surprised me. That stuck out at me. He wasn't willing to defend her kids.
Like 4 little girls would deliberately set their house on fire. I mean, really? I guess there's stranger things that could happen. I know that there have been kids that.
No, I know kids have played
Like
with
that.
lighters and things like that and caught their houses on fire and stuff. But these little girls were sound asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
I don't think they were upstairs
Yeah.
playing with lighters.
And
Hey,
with
Jennifer,
accelerants like
thank you
gasoline.
so much for the super sticker. I so appreciate you.
They're not like making Molotov cocktails for fun. Like that's not
Yeah,
what 11-year-olds
no,
do.
exactly. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
heck does that mean? I mean,
Right.
yeah, so that's kind of crazy. But so he does admit in here that he did receive compensation on the house for the fire. One of the questions was,
I just hate how he treated Gaylin.
yeah,
Like didn't like no compensation, no.
yeah, he never talked to Gaylin that night. He never went over to her and comforted her. He never said, I'm so very sorry. He never did anything. He never spoke to her.
Mhm.
Hey, Michelle, thank you so much for your super sticker. I appreciate you. Can you imagine being a landlord and you just watched your house basically burn completely and you didn't? Hey, Bridget, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Can you imagine though, you guys? Seriously.
No.
And he didn't even walk up to her and acknowledge anything or say anything to her. I just, this is a man who's been collecting rent from her for how long? A few months, 5 months, whatever it was. And he didn't have the ability to even show her any type of compassion. That speaks of volumes to me of the type of human being this person is. That's just my take on that. They asked him if he saw the children carried out of the home. No, I did not. Did you see the children placed in an ambulance or anything? I moved away at that point. Okay, so at what point? At what point did you move and where did you move to? Well, you had to get out of the way because all the fire apparatuses were there and they made us move across the street. So were you still on Columbia? Yes. Were you just across the street? Oh yeah, yes, we were just across the street. How long were you there on the street? Couple of hours maybe. I don't know. Hour and a half until it got under control. And they wanted documentation from me. I had to go get some things and it wasn't very long. It didn't take them long to knock that fire down, you guys. It did not take that long. I can't remember. But it was like within 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, because they had the kids out by 54. So
right.
it never even hit 4 a.m. and everything was already handled. And the fire department only got there at 3:41 or
right.
3:42.
John, thank you so much for your donation. I so appreciate it. But can you guys, I mean, you sit here, and he's talking about truth, justice is right. He's like, he was there, but he didn't see the children being brought out. No way. That cannot be true. I mean, he says, I think he saw it and he turned away. I don't think he could look when they were bringing the girls out. That's my opinion. He couldn't look at them. And Jimbo just came in and said, the 911 call probably shows incompetence from the call handler and a lack of urgency. I don't think it's the call handler. I think it's the response time from the time the first call went out to when the fire department arrived.
Well, I thought it was actually the 911 call might have either, because this was Elizabeth's 911 call, I'm assuming, and she might have leaked on that 911 call that she had already called Josh, or he might be able to be heard on that 911 call because I feel like there's something on that 911 call that they're acting completely irrational about, where they're spending like a lot of money that they do not have. They're like routinely in debt every year. And so they're spending like 50,000, or it was 40,000 the last I looked at it, but of just like emergency money that they're taking from their own constituents, like their own taxpayers. That's not going to make people happy, and they have no idea what's on the 911 call. Like,
Exactly.
you're like holding it from your own taxpayers. Like, they
Right. And Michelle, thank you again for your donation. Does anyone know how long they lived before the fire? How long were they in the house? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, they moved in June 15th.
Yeah.
June 15th?
Yeah.
So, Michelle, June 15th is when they moved into the house. So they were just there from July, August, September, October, November. 4 months is the longest that they were there. And I think it was a temporary thing. I mean, I don't think she was thinking of staying in Flora forever. I don't know that to be 100%.
She talks about it in one of her depositions. She explains that she wasn't planning on staying there for super long. It wasn't like her life goal. But she was so happy to have that house. Like, she was just thrilled to be living on her own, and to really be independent and get on her feet. She was just like a mom who was like, really just felt like things were kind of working out for a second. And she had something stable going on. She got to spend her time with her babies. Like it's so sad. It is so sad.
And Truth Justice is right. The landlord never called 911. Josh Ayers, when he was notified of his house on fire, instead of stopping and grabbing the phone and calling into 911, he grabs his clothes and boots and shoes and runs to the house. So I still find that
he doesn't assist anyone, by the way, watching them all like go into this house.
And once he gets there, he just stands on the sidewalk as a passerby, as a fire, what do you call them? Fire truck chaser or ambulance chaser, because that's what it was. He went there and just stood and watched his house burn with children inside.
That's kind of what arsonists do, but I'm not claiming he arsoned.
No, I get it. I mean, I just think it's bizarre that he didn't call 911.
Yeah.
I just do. I think that's really kind of crazy.
Or that, if he did, why won't they release the phone calls even after being sued by Fox? Why are these 911 calls so serious? What is going on?
They spent a lot of money to suppress them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money they didn't have. And there's got to be something bad in there, and it's not against Gaylin. If the 911 calls had anything to do with Gaylin, they would have released them. They would have released those calls. These have something to do against either the fire department or the first responders.
But they've responded in good time, I feel like. If you get a call at 3:55 or 3:35, and then you respond in 5 minutes, that's pretty good. No?
They didn't. I thought the first call came out before 3:35, and the Delphi Fire Department actually arrived first.
Right. Oh, it was Camden, I think. Maybe I have to go back and check.
I thought it was Delphi that got
they
there
had
first.
To bring the ladder or something.
Yeah, and
they didn't have a ladder.
They got there before Flora, and Flora's 500 feet away, and everybody's like, well, they're volunteers, and I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to jump out of bed when your bell goes off.
Ayers definitely has a ladder in his hardware store that is 1 block away.
Yeah, I'm just like
just okay.
So yeah, I'm really confused by that, but we definitely know that no firemen were the first on scene. The first on scene was Drew Yoder and Dissinger.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that those are the two who showed up first. And Sally, so it was the Flora Fire Department, right? That showed up, Sally. I think she's still in here. She said, yeah, no, it was the Flora Fire Department. Yeah. Delphi got there first. Yeah. And so, I can't remember the mileage difference between Delphi and Flora exactly, but it's a little ways. I mean,
Miles.
how many miles?
I think it's 8.6.
So 8.6 miles, and they're volunteers.
Or maybe minutes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Sorry.
very much time.
John France says, my hometown volunteer fire department was very professional and had great response times. We have 3 or 4 volunteer fire departments right around where I live, and they all are amazing in their response times. Amazing. And these are big areas that they cover. I mean, it's not some little tiny town. They're big areas that they do cover. So, yeah, no, I get that they are both firefighters. They were firefighters before they became troopers, or they had fire experience. I understand that, Jack. But another reason, I think the reason the home hasn't been torn down is because it is still considered a crime scene. And I think that that's probably why, even though they may have allowed them to, but I doubt it, in case they the case is solved and they have to go to court, they may need to have juries come out and see the house or walk through it or whatever. I don't know.
Because you know how he took out some money on, he did a refinancing of the home right before. That's why there was the whole appraisal and everything for the mortgage. So I was wondering, because it burned down after he took out that money, the bank owned some of it. And so he got this free cash, which is, by the way, sketch. But he also, when he had all this money, he had just taken out a loan. So now that it's burned down, I don't know if it's fully his land. I'm just not sure.
Bridget says the fire department arrived at a burning house with children inside with no ladder. An inquiry into this. Well, we would like to think there would be, but we're still, we're still looking. We're looking into that. But all of this stuff is very suspicious. Red flags. People need to be looking at that, and that's one of the things that we're trying to bring. The ladies here that are so kind to be with me tonight. Everybody is trying so hard to work on this, to get this stuff out there so somebody can look at it and see if all of this stuff matters or it is just truly coincidence. I in no way think it's truly coincidence. I don't think these ladies think it's truly coincidence because we've seen the data. We've seen what this stuff is telling us. And you just can't deny that. That's factual information that's available for all of us.
I would not be wasting this much time if I did not believe it.
I was just going to say, there's just so much here. And I want somebody other than myself, because I'm not a fire investigator. I'm not a homicide detective. I want somebody with the experience and the wherewithal and the know-withal to be able to go and look at this case and all the multiple layers that's going on and check it out. I don't care if it's the ATF, if it's the FBI, or if it's the Department of Justice.
There's so many layers, like corruption.
It is. I just think that we've talked about it, and it's kind of, people laugh because you have to put together these thumbnails to do your show. And I chose Carroll County is burning because to me, Carroll County is burning. It's burning in multiple different ways. There's so much corruption. They have gotten so much money because of these 6 girls' deaths into their communities. They've taken this money that was supposed to be earmarked for other things. They built an opera house or redid their opera house. They were given at least $50,000 to $60,000 to start the renovations on the Monon High Bridge back in 2015. And as today in 2022, the Monon High Bridge is standing there ready to crumble because one of the trestle suspensions at the bottom, I'm not sure what it's called, the footings, I think it's a footing, is crumbling. The concrete is literally crumbling off of it. It is so scary. And they were supposed to do new decking, and they were going to make the bridge safe and put up railing so that when you walked across it, you wouldn't get blown off if there was a high wind, because come on, it's 68 feet in the air. That's a pretty tall structure to be on if it's windy and you have nothing to grab onto if you start to lose your balance. So they were supposed to do all that. And they haven't done anything.
I know the only figure that I know of is like the FEMA figure where they had like $66 million and they had 20,000 people in the entire county. So if you just divide like 66 million per 20,000, like there is just an obscene amount like that is just going, that should be going to these people, but the people are just becoming more and more disenfranchised and more that their services, their infrastructure, everything's just kind of going down. So where is that money going?
And that's the question, you know.
$2,000 per person or something, I think. I don't have a calculator in front of me.
And that was one payout.
But you know,
that's crazy. $66 million for a town or an area that has
not
how many thousand
grants that they're asking for extensions on when they've already received, you know, thousands of dollars that they suddenly need again and they were denied. And that's where I think we need to start, is we need to look at the federal grant coverage that has been allocated to these communities to see what they have taken from the government and how they've used that money, because that's where you can hopefully, if there is some level of corruption or wrongdoing.
Right. And that's the thing too, because you know, a lot of this grant money, you know, it's earmarked for certain things. And I don't think you can just appropriate it for something else. When you write a grant and you're given grant money to redo a bridge, you need to be redoing the bridge, not doing whatever else must have happened with it.
Like that creek did not have to flood all the time. Like it was just, all you had to do was like level it out a little bit more. And they did it in 2017. But it took them multiple deaths in that creek, like over and over and over again. And then they finally did it. But when they had gone in to like do their assessment, I read this, like I'll find this wonderful assessment. I love reading these things. But the government came in and like asked them, like, what did you do? And it's like, there's Opera House though. It was just like the Opera House. And they were asking about like to redo their canal system and have it like connect to Battle Creek and all of not Battleground and like Tippecanoe for their, and so like they showed this is so not cost effective. Like you can't, this is not an option like for you right now. And you also like they just, the way that they're built, they're actually like at a lower elevation than everyone else around them. So when it floods, it just like falls onto Delphi, which just sucks. But like that's just, they have an unfortunate environment around them.
Yeah, the flooding is a big deal.
And it is. I mean, they live on, you know, the Wabash River is right there. It runs through all these creeks, run right into the Wabash River. And, you know, I live on a river. I live on the Illinois River, and we have major flooding the fall and in the spring here, in a lot of years because of the rain and the snow and things that we get. But yeah, it's those kinds of things that people need to be looking at. And I know that we're going to be looking into some of that. I know Unsolved is going to try to look at some of these grants and some of this federal money and where it went. Hey Gonzo, good to see you.
So
So
I've been trying to keep an eye on the chat, everybody.
yeah, it's hard. I'm so sorry. But yes, Gonzo, much love to you. I hope your live went well tonight, that you were on, and we're always thinking good thoughts about you, and so glad that you're here with us. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions, guys, and one of the things that I can tell you is I'm not against trying to answer your questions, and maybe we can have a Q&A night real soon where if you guys want to email me questions about Flora and Delphi, things that are bothering you or that's on your mind, we can put together a Q&A where we try to answer some of those for you. Because
you can me. I just made a Twitter. I have like 5 followers, but it's okay. I have like banter with the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. It's cute.
You're talking to them on your Twitter and you have 5 followers.
I have 5 followers, but like I'm like their biggest fan, so they probably appreciate it. I was saying that their arson dog Misty should run for fire marshal.
That's hilarious. I love it. Keep befriending them because we need them. We need them on this. I mean,
they have a lot of arson resources. They definitely know what's up. They know what's up.
I'm pretty sure. And somebody in chat I know earlier said that arson is really hard to solve, and it is. Arsons are really tough, and I'm not trying to make light of that. And I don't believe that everybody on the Flora Fire Department's bad. I don't believe that everybody in Carroll County, when it comes to law enforcement, are bad. I think there's a lot of people that maybe need some retraining on some things. I think they maybe want to be looking at their response times and making sure that I don't want to say this without laughing. Make sure that their equipment is in order, that they wear it, and that they bring ladders when they come to house fires. Because
they clean their equipment too, so there's no threat of cross-contamination from when.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing what to do if there are deceased individuals at a home, it's a crime scene. You need to think of it that way. And not move the bodies to some concrete floor where you're going to contaminate them more. So those are some of the things that I've gleaned. And, I know people think that it's insurance fraud, Sally. I know a lot of people think that this is insurance fraud. And these people some of their properties have burned. This isn't the first one.
It looks like it, but like at the same time, you don't set a fire at 3 a.m. like when everyone's asleep, in order for it to be just insurance. Like a structure. And he also it says also there was a basketball game that day where no one would have been in the home or anything. Like there are ways to damage your property and get away with insurance fraud. Killing someone is not the way to do it. If you want to burn your home down and get the insurance money,
especially when there are little girls involved. And when you think about the Rossville fires that happened just a community over from Flora, those fires happened 1 hour earlier than the Flora fires did. And you think, and there's this weird patterns. And
Truth Justice hit the nail on the head. Think about this. Both tenants of the house were single mothers with children. Josh Ayers knew that, and he didn't call 911.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I'm sorry. He needs to answer for that. And there needs to be, I don't think he has a good answer for that.
Something very strange.
So,
and I do want to say, I know this might be controversial for some people, but I do believe that Dennis Randall is a hero in this situation for being able to classify the Flora Fire for what it truly was, which was arson. And I think that he took a lot of heat on that. And I'm not talking about his son Adam here. I'm talking about Dennis, who had the sound of mind to say, this is an arson related event, which probably prompted a lot of fear within the community and backlash from the law enforcement agencies, including the ISP. But he was honest, and I really appreciate that about him for not covering this up and not saying it was just another accident. It was a child that was responsible for setting this fire. That's huge.
yeah.
I actually do agree with that.
And one of the things, tomorrow's got lots of fires, lots of children die in them. The sad thing about that is statistically, children don't die in the fires because the parents or whoever's taking care of them get them out. And it's, you have to look at what statistics are telling us, because it's real easy to just throw things out there, but we, oh Lord, I did not know that. I have no way of knowing that. I'm not saying that. I don't know if Adam Randall set fires as a child, but
it was really weird in the whistleblower testimony, though. I know that we haven't talked about that, but they had mentioned that he had really got off the deep end, like got tattoos of like scenes of the fire.
Okay.
I don't know if this is right. This could be
right
at all. It just
we don't know
that
because
was in the.
It was in that document, but
I can't find him anywhere. Like, I really can't.
Well, I think that probably what happened when everything blew up with the Randall family and Dennis resigned and everything happened and Adam left, and with his mom and everything with her being arrested and all the embezzlement and all that kind of stuff. I think they probably took their presence off of social media and everywhere. They may have even paid to have their self wiped off of
really
everything, because you wouldn't want to have to live with all that hanging over you. And but yeah, one of the things that we found today, and I'm just going to mention it because I'm not going to go into it right now, but we did run across some documents on my case in Indiana. You guys are able to go out here anywhere, anytime to find them, but we found a lot of documents. There's a Dennis Randall deposition. There's a lot of depositions out here.
A lot.
That we found, that Unsolved and I found today, from December of 2021. So I don't think people have talked about these. I'm going to be going over this information with these ladies here so that we can figure out what's in these and if there's anything we need to report to you. But there's a lot of stuff on mycase.in.gov, which is where you can find any public court information. All the stuff that we're able to see, download, and look at that we showed you is documents that are able to be looked at by the public. So, I mean,
easy enough to go through it.
Yeah, exactly. If you have the time to go through it. But I just want to thank the ladies tonight for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You guys are wonderful. And before we get out of here, I'm going to try to play a video of meows, you guys. And most of you may have already seen it. I don't know, but we're going to try and get it up here. Hang on a second, because it's pretty short, but I think it's very much worth watching. And I hope you guys can hear it. So we're going to pray that you guys can hear it. Hold on one second while I share my screen.
It has sound. I promise this one does. Wait, why doesn't it have sound?
Uh-oh. Mm.
Really just
There are follow-ups too to Gaylin's reaction to this deposition, which we didn't really cover, but somebody asked a question about that.
About what?
Someone said earlier in the chat that Gaylin could sue him for some of these claims that we're discussing.
Yes.
Through Ayers' testimony. And so I wanted to let you know, like, we saw that. I noticed that comment, and there are some things that have been in the works in terms of her reaction to all of this and
my cat.
additional lawsuits that have transpired. So, did
Yes.
you want to mention some of that, Kristen?
About the lawsuits that are happening now?
Yeah. As of, end of December 2021 up through February of 2022. And
yes, there are lawsuits that have been filed
Mhm.
by Gaylin against some of these individuals.
Right.
And so some of the documents that we were talking about that we ran across are actually the documents that are coming out from these.
Oh yeah, it's the civil suit.
Mhm.
Yeah, the civil suit. Yeah.
Oh, she totally deserves it. She totally deserves it. And if he just settled, none of this would be public. Just
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he knows, this is your fault. Because
There's so much and we can't even get through it because it's literally so much info that has.
I posted the URL for the video in chat. You guys go copy that, watch it. If you just go and subscribe to Meow Zedong's channel, you can find all of her great work there. She just does amazing stuff. And this video I thought was really telling, because it is about the money. We've all said that if you they've said it in history over I don't know how many hundreds of maybe even thousands of years, follow the money, because usually when you follow the money you figure out what's going on. And I think that there's a lot of money that's transpiring in this county, and I think that we need to be paying more attention to where it's going, who's getting it, who's using it, and why it's not being used for what it was intended for. And the Flora girls need justice. And I'm so glad that I met these ladies, and that we are able to work together to try to bring some kind of light to this case. And I will stand up against all of the haters and all of the people that want to come in and troll me while I'm live streaming. I don't care. I've got great moderators.
I'm the meanest on my Reddit, so go for it.
And yes, Indian Paintbrush, she has a Reddit sub as well. Let me put that Reddit sub in here for you as well. It's called the Flora 4, and it's fantastic. So I will drop that in here as well. And she also has her YouTube channel. But yeah, you want to check out both. And but anyway, we have been here a while, so I'm going to let you ladies go. And I will chat with you all later.
It's a pleasure. Nice seeing
Always
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Love your chat.
Thank you.
Love you all. Good night.
Good night. So there you have it, you guys. I hope that you learned some stuff tonight. I know we were kind of, we had some issues with the technical stuff, and I'm really, really sorry about that. I so do apologize. But it's something that I felt we needed to talk about and bring to light. There's a lot more to this case than just the $18,000 that we're talking about. And when I get with Rafael Sanchez. That's one of the things that I'm going to bring up is all of these things that are going on that need somebody to look at and look into. And so I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. We Behind the Crime Door could not survive without all of you. Everyone who donated tonight, thank you so much. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry. But I absolutely appreciate all of you. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Saturday night. Everyone take care. Have a good Friday. And we will talk soon. Good night, everyone.